Micah has requested me on Patreon to review the Disney holiday movie I'll Be Home for Christmas, starring Jonathan Taylor Thomas. So for this review, this is actually the second time I watched the movie. I originally viewed it 2 years ago, and I had to revisit the film because very little stuck with me on the first viewing. However, I've definitely seen the commercial many times, because the home video promo plays at the start of the Inspector Gadget VHS. Thus, I was already familiar with a few jokes beforehand. The movie as a whole I find to be fairly mediocre. The idea of Thomas's character Jake trying to rush home for Christmas and encountering obstacles is not a bad one for a comedy. There was potential there to make an enjoyable piece of holiday viewing. I don't even find it that unwatchable, and was okay with watching it again to do this review. Jake just is not the most interesting protagonist, and we have to follow him for most of the movie. Interestingly, according to an article in Variety announcing Thomas signing on to the film, the title was originally I Won't Be Home for Christmas, and his character was named Roger. However, the film was apparently retooled to fit Thomas. He does what he can in the role, but not enough to make many of the jokes land, or even to make the character that endearing. The main premise of the film involves his father, played by Gary Cole, convincing him to return home for the holidays by saying he will give him a Porsche. If you have to bribe your son of an expensive car to get him to go to Christmas dinner, do you really want him there? A couple fellow students strand him in the desert in a Santa outfit to add a reason for why it's difficult for Jake to return home, and it's kind of disturbing that they're responsible for knocking out a human being and planting him in the middle of nowhere with no food or money. They just committed a crime, and the film treats it in such a lighthearted manner. We only ever see one of them arrested, and it's for a completely different reason. Do they get punished for kidnapping and other potential charges after the movie? Was there a nationally televised trial? We don't know. Aside from Jake's chief rival, we never see them again. A lot of the film follows an episodic structure as Jake gets into one shenanigan after another. These either exist to provide some joke where he gets in trouble, tries to con his way out of a situation, or he learns the true meaning of Christmas and family. Most of the jokes are fairly stale. The sentimental bits really turn up the schmaltz, but are not the least bit effective. The various supporting characters Jake meets on his journey don't provide much in the way of laughs either. Someone who I think is easily the highlight of the movie is Jessica Biel, as Jake's girlfriend Allie. Even though the character is hardly what I would call three-dimensional, she does bring a necessary spark to her performance. The film is very clearly made in the 90s, and Jake is obviously a 90s protagonist, trying to transfer Thomas's charisma from Home Improvement to the big screen. However, Allie's character feels like the producers hired a time-traveling screenwriter from the 2010s and 2020s to write her dialogue. Listen to this line.
If you make me listen to any sexist, racist, or homophobic jokes, I'm gonna have to slug you.
Does that sound like something you expect to hear in a Disney family holiday comedy released in 1998? Later on, she then makes this remark.
Well, look at that! The clock man is sexually harassing the clock lady. How typical.
Again, also very forward-thinking for the time, although it should be noted the film was released a year after Disney modified a similar scenario in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, so I wonder if the writers were also commenting on that. Watching the movie, it does not really look like something that warranted a theatrical release, and would have been just fine airing as part of the Wonderful World of Disney on ABC. Remarkably, I'll Be Home for Christmas had a $30 million budget, which it did not even come close to making back until possibly the home video release. Otherwise, most theaters had dropped the film long before Christmas rolled around. This also marked the end of Jonathan Taylor Thomas having a major film career. After filming was complete, he focused on his education, and his movie roles since then have primarily been in direct-to-video releases and made-for-television movies. He's taken on other pursuits and certainly has the money to do so. So as long as he's happy, good for him. He was very popular in the 90s though, and the fact that Disney wanted him to headline a Christmas comedy is an example of that. I'll Be Home for Christmas is not anything all that special, but it's barely serviceable enough. Now let me know in the comments what you think of the movie, and thank you for the request, Micah.